as far as the charnel ground. The bones whiten, burnt offerings end with ashes. Giving is a doctrine of fools. When anyone asserts the doctrine that there is giving and the like, it is empty, false prattle. Fools and the wise are alike cut off and perish with the breakup of the body. After death they do not exist. Let's stop here for a moment. The Buddha is asking this is one of the wrong views that existed among the external sects, the other religions during the Buddha's time, that there is no charity, there is no point of doing charity, that there is no karma, that when you pass away, everything comes to an end, there is no other world, etc. So the Buddha is asking his disciples, why is it, how is it that such a view comes about? And they said, Venerable Sir, our teachings are rooted in the Blessed One. And then the Buddha said, when there is body, monks, when there is feeling, perception, volition, consciousness, by clinging to these five aggregates, by adhering to these five aggregates, such a view as this arises. When monks, a noble disciple, has abandoned perplexity in these 6 cases, and when further he has abandoned perplexity about suffering, the origin of suffering, cessation of suffering, and the way leading to the cessation of suffering, he is then called a noble disciple who is a stream enterer, no longer bound to the nether world, fixed in destiny, with enlightenment as his destination. So basically the Buddha says, because of our attachment to the 5 aggregates, we have all these many types of views. There's another type mentioned in another sutta, 24.6. Just read the view just for your knowledge. It's one of the wrong views. When one acts or makes others act, when one mutilates or makes others mutilate, when one tortures or makes others inflict torture, when one inflicts sorrow and makes others inflict sorrow, when one oppresses and makes others inflict oppression, when one intimidates or makes others inflict intimidation, when one destroys life, takes what is not given, breaks into houses, plunders wealth, commits burglary, ambushes highways, seduces another's wife, utters falsehood, no evil is done by the doer. If with a razor-rimmed wheel one were to make the living beings of this earth into one mass of flesh, into one heap of flesh, because of this there would be no evil and no outcome of evil. If one were to go along the south bank of the Ganges, killing and slaughtering, mutilating and making others mutilate, torturing and making others inflict torture, because of this, there will be no evil and no outcome of evil. So you see, this is such a stupid teaching, but at that time people were very ignorant and they had many followers also. Yeah, a lot of these, there were at that time 6 famous external sects. Teachers and they had all this type of wrong views. So no point to go through all these silly views. We go to the next Samyutta, chapter 25, Okkanti Samyutta, discourses about entering. Entering is a stream entry. The first sutta, quite an important sutta, 25.1 at Savatthi. The Buddha said, monks, the eye is impermanent, changing, becoming otherwise. The ear, similarly, the ear, nose, tongue, body and mind are impermanent, changing, becoming otherwise. One who places faith in these teachings and resolves on them, thus is called a faith follower one who has entered the fixed course of rightness, entered the plane of superior persons, transcended the plane of the worldlings, Putujana. He is incapable of doing any deed by reason of which he might be reborn in hell, in the animal realm, or in the domain of ghosts. He is incapable of passing away without having realized the fruit of stream entry. One for whom these teachings are accepted thus, after being pondered to a sufficient degree with wisdom, is called a Dhamma follower, one who has entered the fixed course of rightness, entered the plane of superior persons, transcended the plane of the worldlings. He is incapable of doing any deed by reason of which he might be reborn in hell, in the animal realm, or in the domain of ghosts. He is incapable of passing away without having realized the fruit of stream entry. One who knows and sees these teachings thus is called a stream enterer, no longer bound to the nether world, fixed in destiny, with enlightenment as his destination. This sutta is quite interesting. Alright. I didn't realize it passed 1 hour. This sutta is quite interesting and important. It's talking about two types of persons who attain stream entry. The first fruit. One is because of faith. He has, having heard the Dhamma, he has faith in the Dhamma. And this faith, saddha, comes from understanding the Dhamma. So because he has seen the Dhamma and he has faith, there's one type of stream enterer. The other type is called, the first one is called the faith follower. The second one is called the Dhamma follower. This Dhamma follower is also the same in the sense that he has listened to the Dhamma and seen the Dhamma, understood the Dhamma, and because of his wisdom, he's called a Dhamma follower. So the first one, also, even though he also has wisdom, but he has more faith, that's why the first one is called a faith follower. The second one, he has more wisdom, that's why it's called a Dhamma follower. Now, once he has attained stream entry from having heard the Dhamma and understood the basic Dhamma on the Four Noble Truths, then he has transcended the plane of the ordinary worldling. That means he is on the way out of samsara, on the way out of the round of rebirths. And it is impossible for him to be reborn in the three woeful planes. In the earliest suttas, the Buddha always talked about three woeful planes: hell, animal, and ghost realm. Later books added one more, the asuras. And this adding of the asuras you can find in Mahayana books, and you can also find in Abhidhamma and also in commentaries. So that means those are all later books. So also here it says another important point, that once you attain stream entry, you must attain the fruit of stream entry. And the latest is when a person, that person passes away. So after he attains the path, it takes some time to change to fruit. And the latest is when he dies. So although here he's talking about the first path person automatically becoming the first fruit at the latest when he dies. From my understanding of the suttas, I think it also applies to the second path, the third path, and the fourth path. When a person attains the path, after some time, it turns to fruit. So I have to stop here for today because we have about 9 minutes past 1 hour. Anything to discuss? It might interest you to know that this chapter on the Khandha Samyutta, the 5 aggregates, I've taken about 6 nights to explain. 6 nights. Previously, when I gave this talk in Penang a few years ago, it took me 3 nights, I think, 3 hours, and now it's 6 hours, so more detail.
You say that the person knows the Dhamma, automatically will become, after that, will become a stream entry, right?
No. When he hears the Dhamma and he understands, at that time he becomes a stream enterer.
But when you understand, it means you have to cultivate also, right? Because by understanding and without cultivation, it's just know, then you have to cultivate.
No, after you understand, you attain stream entry, but after the understanding, you will automatically cultivate. There are cases where a person never met the Buddha before, and then he met the Buddha, and the Buddha taught him the Four Noble Truths, and then he attained stream entry. Then after that only he practices.
Okkanti, that means quite a number of them are stream entry.
Yeah.
A lot of them listen to Dhamma.
You're referring to who?
Many of the people listen to the Dhamma.
Yeah, but how many people listen to the Suttas?
Like your CD, you read and then
That one is possible if they take the trouble to go and listen to the Samyutta Nikaya and the Anguttara Nikaya. The chances of them attaining stream entry is quite good. That's why the Buddha says of all the giving, the giving of Dhamma surpasses all types of giving, because it gives the greatest benefit. Yeah. So only later books, they put the Buddha on such a high pedestal, and then they say Buddha does not have these human characteristics. Okay, shall we stop here tonight?